This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I call to order the Thursday, October 15th, 2020 Bethlehem Revitalization and Improvement Authority. Ask for a roll call.
Ms. McHale.
Present.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Ms. Taggart.
Here.
Mr. Philippos.
Here.
Mr. Jobs.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Andrews.
Here.
Ms. Carner.
Here.
Mr. Jones, I'm here. Mr. Chavone.
All right, quorum being established, we'll move on to public comment. I don't see any members from the public on the meeting, so we will skip over that and move to approval of the minutes from the February 6th, 2020 minute.
That's a separate packet. I gave you two packets. One is the minutes that you're looking at now.
Gotcha.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion's made, second on the floor. Can we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? Motion passes. Next, treasurer's report. John?
Yeah, you guys got the treasurer's report in your packet via the email. Very little revenue. We got a refund from a bank, and then project costs, which we sent to the city, and then the rest of the stuff are actually professional fees. To an auditing fee, our compliance fee, some legal posting, and then we reimburse the city for administrative costs. So make a motion, we accept the report as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion being made, second on the floor. Anybody opposed? Ayes have it.
And then do we need to approve the audit?
So typically, I mean, the audit is what the audit is.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, I always defer. I didn't run
Yeah.
this by Ed in advance, but, you know, we couldn't change the audit if we didn't want to,
Yeah.
or if we wanted to. So we sent that out in
April.
In April, yeah.
Earlier this year. We received no comments from anyone and, you know, no questions, nothing. And so the audit, you know, is long
Yeah.
past the acceptance period.
And I read the audit, and we got another clean opinion, and we did the administration did a great job. So I just want to put that on the record, that thank you for making our audit.
You're not legally obligated to accept the audit, but it is, like you say, it's good practice to acknowledge receipt of it, acknowledge that it was a clean opinion, and what Alicia did is acknowledge it. None of you had any comments for the record.
Excellent.
That's all I have on the treasurer's report.
Okay, then we will move to old business, which is probably one of the bigger reasons we're here today, and that is to take up the decertification and certification of the property related to the Wind Creek, which, if everybody will remember, we had a presentation on that. Was that back in December?
February.
February. I knew it
Yeah.
was cold. I knew it was cold.
February of this year.
And so right now we just got that was the initial step, and now we go through the process because if people remember, the hotel is not itself on the CRIS parcel, so they have to create they have to decertify a parcel and create a new one. And that's kind of what we're doing. Alicia, I don't know if there's any more comment. I know Seth is on there. I don't know if there's anything to add.
Let me just take you through the process. So Asher will, if you'll look at your screens, if you'll recall, as part of that request for the authority to qualify the project back in February, the applicant, which is Wind Creek Bethlehem LLC. Go to number 5, please, Asher. So this is my rudimentary, and if you could zoom in, Asher, make it a little bit bigger, please. Right up, yep, there you go. So this is what we casually call the Ruins West lot. If you look, you see it's 2-5, 2-4 is the Iron Foundry, 2-3 is the ice rink. You're looking at First Street in the city, and that was requested, or at least that was identified at the time of qualification as the parcel they wanted to decertify as a CRIS parcel. If you'll go to the next page, Asher, this was included in your map. It's very, very difficult to see, but Asher will zoom in a little bit. I kind of outlined it in red. You can see that the parking lot north of the yet to be finished Huber Mason Trestle, but Machine Shop 2, and then is the big blue, that's the big blue square. But we're looking at what will be parcel P622-25D in red, which is the footprint of the expansion of the hotel. And so, as a refresher, the process with the Commonwealth is to publicly advertise 2 weeks in advance of our intent to decertify, which we did. We placed that out in the Lehigh Valley Live Express Times paper. Indicate where we're hoping to transfer or request to the Commonwealth the transfer of the designation, and then we submit what's called a property transfer worksheet. As part of this process, Resolution 2020-1 is in your packets, which identifies both parcels and will accompany the application to the Commonwealth asking for decertification and acceptance of the shift or the switch to this parcel. So other than that, that's all I have to add unless you have any questions for me or for Seth. He's on the line to answer any technical questions related to the switch.
So that parcel's already been subdivided and created?
Seth, do you want to comment on the?
So the answer is no, not formally yet. The entire casino property is subject to a leasehold condominium. There are presently 2 units on that condominium, one comprising the gaming building, and then one is the retail component. We would be adding a 3rd unit. We've worked with the county to identify the parcel number that it will receive. However, because of this property is very, very complicated, there are quite a few different moving pieces to getting the approval to expand that condo. And so while we know what the condo will look like, as Alicia's shown on the screen, and while we know what the parcel identification number is, we have not yet formally recorded that condominium amendment to create the condominium. But that red outline that's shown on the survey will be the physical boundaries of that new condominium unit, which will be distinctly the parcel.
And let me just add, that is 2.3 acres, which coincides with the parcel being decertified.
I have a question. What about the parking situation? Obviously, a part of that is some of the parking area that's back there. You know, they're going to add all these hotel rooms once the hotel is completed, which I would assume require more parking back there.
So that was managed through our planning process. When there is any kind of modifications, expansions, changes to this project being the casino, hotel, retail outlets, our planning bureau does ensure that the required parking on site, and on site is a pretty big catch area, meets the requirements of the project proposed.
Oh.
So there is more than enough parking on the site to begin with, particularly with the garage and then the surface parking lot surrounding it. And so there is no concern from the city's perspective about the number of spaces available. They may not be right in front of the door, but they are available for parking.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Seth, this is Mark. Back in February when we met, the plan was to start the hotel in 2020. Do you have an update as far as the process and start time?
Well, I can tell you, if
Sure,
you don't
go
mind, they did submit the building permit. You know, they've been through the planning process and actually had done that before coming to us. They have submitted the building permit plans. We are still reviewing them. They're massive. And so there is, we need to get through that process first, Mark, before we can issue the permit for them to start construction. Seth, if you have anything you want to add.
No, I was just going to say, obviously, I think everybody on every project I'm working on lost a couple months this year, but they remain full steam ahead. I know that all, like Alicia said, permit applications are in and plans are complete and approved.
So is the plan, once the permits are in hand, to start?
The first stage of this project is some of the utility movement along the hotel before you even see any vertical construction. You saw maybe 3 weeks ago at this point, the movement of the press. That was the big structure in the, circle that was moved down to the NMIH Plaza. And that was the important first step to get that out of the way before the utility placement could be addressed. So you'll see that kind of activity will occur. You won't know that it's related to the hotel per se, but all of that underground work, trenching, and so forth will be the first stage of the project.
Any idea on the anticipated vertical? construction time?
I don't know the answer to that question specifically. I think Alicia's right. We're sort of working through everything. There's no reason to think that it's not going to be immediately after the completion of the site work.
From a construction standpoint, we do continue to remind the project managers in Alabama that we have a winter to contend with. That's not something they're used to dealing with, and so in their minds it's full steam ahead. We're going to move from one thing to another, but it's really going to depend on what kind of weather we face this year.
I guess my last question is, since COVID, what's the occupancy of the current hotel? How's it running at?
I don't have that at my
Yeah,
disposal.
I don't have an answer for that question.
I would say in the last Discovery Lehigh Valley board meeting call I was on, the numbers are improving. We're improving faster than other regions that we usually compete with. So that's good news. But as far as the actual occupancy, I don't know that.
Alicia, they will come back to us one more time though, after the parcel is certified, correct? I mean, when we enter into the
Yes,
agreement
Seth and I
and stuff
did
like
talk
that.
about that. I expect, and I didn't talk to Ed about this, but there'll be another resolution
Right.
or the financing.
For the
actual
financing, I'm assuming,
to
yeah.
approve.
That's what I mean. So,
This is just this
Yeah.
first step is the decertification of certification. There is a second resolution we haven't even gotten to on the agenda yet, which is your approval of this project, so we
Right.
can submit the project approval to the Commonwealth.
Yeah, the applicants are well aware of the fact that we're going to have to come back to this board. We're going to try to use the time that we have once, assuming you all approve this for the next step, we're going to use the intervening time to go work through the various consents that we have to receive internally to set up the structure for this.
any other questions?
So
Okay.
there's a resolution,
Yep.
2020-1 in front of you.
And this resolution, as I read it, merely decertifies one parcel and certifies the other, is essentially the way I read the resolution. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay. I will certainly, I think we're at the time where I can accept a motion to approve resolution 2020-1.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Before we vote, I do want to note for the record that Donna Taggart will be abstaining.
Yes,
To a professional relationship.
she gave written notice before the meeting of her intention to abstain from the discussion and voting due to a professional relationship with Wind Creek. So though she's here at the meeting, she will be abstaining.
With that on the record, Donna, you're good? Nothing to add?
Yep.
Okay. With that on the record, I'll accept have a motion on the table and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Passes 4-0. All right, and then we'll move to the second resolution, which Alicia, as you described it, is the one essentially of this board approving this project to submit it to the state for actual qualification in the CRIS program would be the.
So all of the projects that were submitted with the 2013 application are considered approved projects,
Right.
but any new project that comes to this board needs to be submitted to the Commonwealth for approval. So this resolution, because it was not previously proposed, is going to allow us to submit or request project approval from it's the three-legged stool, the Department of Revenue, Office of the Budget, and the Department of Community and Economic Development.
Any questions on that resolution? That is resolution 2020-2. And if there are no questions, I certainly am willing to accept the motion at this time.
I just, one question.
Go ahead, Mark.
Any idea how long that takes?
So, yeah, no, I have no idea.
Not now.
We did one of these for all the ones we did with the Noble projects, all those new ones.
The
we
Wilbur
had.
Mansion projects were submitted, we got approval, and then that project changed. He came back and requested that you approve those changes. We submitted again. That was before the pandemic hit, and they had some questions. We provided additional information. It probably took 6 months. I do not but they were not working at that point. You know, they were home, they were sent home.
Right.
I think they were scrambling for a large part of that. And, you know, I always keep in mind that Allentown is, you know, the springtime for all of their projects. Their sort of Department of Revenue is extremely busy with, you know, managing the NIS. So it's not until they, you know, come up for air after that project or that process that they start to look at anything we submitted. So I'm hoping we can get it in. Seth and I will collaborate on that application. We can get it in and get approval, you know, by the beginning of next year, end of this year, beginning of next year. I mean,
So they'll need approval before they can start construction.
yes, yes. You can always start a project, but if you want to capture the increment, which we certainly, I mean, you know, certainly I would never propose holding up a project of this size, and would, you know, get this application in and essentially plead with them to process it quickly to, you know, collect any construction increment associated with it.
Yeah, I think it can move efficiently.
Okay.
That's my sense. But it's, we need to,
For what it's worth, my instruction is to move it along quickly. It's not going to be an impediment to it. So we hope that the state will move quickly. I'm hoping that our timing, even though we thought we'd be at this stage a little bit earlier, I think hopefully, to Alicia's point, coming in at this point in the fall may be better for us to move it quickly.
thanks. Sir. Any other questions?
No, I'd like to make the motion that we approve this resolution to submit the
Okay.
changes to the
I'll
common.
second that motion.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Second, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? None. Ayes have it. 4-0. And now we're moving
A quick
to,
question, is Ms. Taggart is also abstained from this vote?
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we're now moving to new business and 2019 income allocation. Alicia, I'll turn it over to you.
Annually, the authority contributes to the city of Bethlehem the 5% administrative, 5% of the increment we receive, which under the legislation we're allowed to take for administrative functions. We are asking for your approval early this year. We are technically supposed to get these dollars out the door by the end of the calendar year, but report in April. So they've been a little squishy with that time frame, but the more we can get out the door prior to December 31st, the better. I wasn't certain if we were going to meet again this year. I expect we may have to meet one more time, but was trying to make sure that I was covering all my bases and getting this in front of you now. I don't know what our increment's going to be yet. I suspect it'll be slightly lower this year than the previous year because we had a lot of construction activity.
Yeah.
In 2018. And so in 19, when we received that increment, it was based off of a lot of construction materials purchased and a lot of people working. So it may be a little lower than it was last year, but we should hear any day now what that certified number is for the city of Bethlehem.
Any questions?
Nope.
I will accept the motion to allocate, what was the number?
5%.
5% of the revenue that the Chris Authority gets or Bria Authority gets.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Motion on the floor, second it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. And solicitors report.
I have nothing to report, which seems to be a common occurrence.
You are my favorite solicitor. I want you to know that. Director, anything to add, Alicia?
Yeah, I actually, as you know, in addition to stating we should learn about what our increment is, we of course will distribute the increment based on the agreements we have with the two projects that we have financing for. And we'll keep you posted on what those numbers are. We've got to get that out the door pretty quickly once those funds are received, which should be around the 1st of November. The second thing I do want to let you know is I did receive communication from John Noble for the Wilbur Mansion project. They're lining their financing up. And so that is probably, they want to move quickly, of course. And that is something we may need to meet to pass another resolution. I haven't even had a chance to look through all of the information myself and then talk to Ed about it and contemplate next steps. So they're asking the authority to do what we've done previously, which is be a conduit borrower on their behalf.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, our next meeting date is scheduled for November 5th, but obviously, if we need that, then we'll meet again, so hopefully before the end of the year. With nothing else on the agenda, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourned.
Second.
Adjourned.